had a chance, so many different companies and people that are interested in doing some business in North Dakota or at least being active in North Dakota. And so this is great seeing all these different people and a few familiar faces out there too. Um, Thought I would run through as I was asked to provide maybe just an overview of some of the programs we have, some that may be pertinent or relevant to many of you. I'll have a few qualifiers in there too when we get to the end, but I'll see if I can start sharing. First, I should probably, well, let's do it this way. Is it going to show up? I think so. I think this is the one. So I'm going to have to ask, is it showing up for you guys?
It looks good.
Are you getting the side screener in there or the full screen?
You get in the
Um,
presentation mode.
Okay.
It looks good, Commissioner.
Does it? Okay. Well, then we're just going to roll with this. Uh, as was stated, I'm Agriculture Commissioner Doug Goring. I have had the honor of serving almost 17 years as commissioner for the state of North Dakota. And I very much appreciate this state, all we have to offer. I think there's some very unique things here. Maybe a couple things I would mention that aren't in the presentation. And some of you may know, but I think what makes us unique compared to the other Midwestern states is, first of all, we produce about 54 different commodities. Second, we have about 13 different microclimates that support the production of those 54 different commodities. And we, I like to say it's a little unique, but we're certainly very innovative. We've been pioneers in the area of innovation and equipment, systems, practices for, geez, going back to when I was born. Uh, so I just remember hearing, seeing all these things and experiencing that in my own family farm and with my neighbors. Couple things that I wanted to share. The a few programs that may be relevant. The Ag Product Utilization Commission, or APUC, we call it, and then the Agriculture Diversification Development Fund, Ag Infrastructure Grants, and Low Carbon Fuels Incentive Program. I'll start off first because this one may be the one that most people would likely be eligible for. The APUC program generally looks at basic and applied research, nature-based tourism, farm diversification, technical assistance, prototype technology, marketing, utilization. It's pretty flexible, has a lot of latitude. And as you can tell, when you start to break down some of those different areas, um, product design, prototypes, testing, patenting, I should say, technical assistance, we can help with that. And the efficiency, cash flow improvement, business development, market analysis, feasibility studies. Um, and then I guess when it comes to feasibility studies, we've done so many in so many different areas that there's just different ways in which we can help a lot of different entities really find out what opportunities may exist or where are the barriers? Where are the hurdles? What are the things we'd have to overcome before you even take some of those steps? We actually do quite a bit of basic and applied research. I will tell you, and although it may not be pertinent necessarily to this group, but I'll make mention of it. The commission over the last 3, 4, 5 years has really started to push on this issue of having a partner. This may be more relevant to our universities, but we have funded some fantastic stuff over the last couple decades out of our universities, and yet without a partner, it seems like a white paper gets written and there's accolades, but nothing happens with all the good stuff that was developed or came out of it. And we started to get a lot of pressure from the legislature as to, well, we see a lot of this funding going on, but we don't see any results on the backside. So one thing, we always want to see a commercial partner or at least working towards commercialization on what we're doing. The ad fund. Now, I can narrow this down really quick. This is all about value-added processing, manufacturing, if you're looking at equipment, parts, supplies, things like that. I mean, it's got to be ag related or primarily looking at animal agriculture in general, probably more directed at animal ag facilities. The legislature was pretty clear. We have APUC. It serves a purpose. We need a program that is very specific to animal agriculture. With that, they did recognize we need to probably support some of the value-added processing out there, and that could be in pet food, feed, or food processing, manufacturing. So they did expand that into that, and I will tell you that if you go down that road, there's only two ways to be eligible and qualify. You either have to be a new facility or you have to be expanding an existing facility. And it has to be some significant expansion. It can't be, hey, we're going to put on a building and we're going to increase what we're doing by about 3%. Now, you're likely not going to qualify. There were some other changes that were made to it in the end, or actually, I think that has more to do with the ag infrastructure, but we'll get to that. The process, and this would be generally for both, they kind of align. APUC and AD have some of the same commission members, but there are extra commission members for the AD program. And we did that because we got some pretty competent, qualified individuals that serve on APUC. It was just a good thought to maintain them and use them over in the ad. And in fact, we have a couple members on here today that I saw that actually serve on the APUC and Ad Pro commissions. One is Frank Casey, and the other I thought I saw Kevin Sensalis. Now, Frank Casey actually serves on behalf of the president of NDSU when he can't make it or they can't make it. And it's always good to see him. He brings a lot of value, and so does Kevin to these meetings. Everybody has a different discipline, it seems, and different expertise, and together we make one grand person to make decisions. But the max award on an APUC grant would be about $250,000. It's rare that we actually hit the max. Same way with AD. There's just some qualifying eligibility issues that we look at if we're going to take someone to the max for granting. Generally, the granting period is 1 year. It's a reimbursement program. Cost share, or if you're looking at us to do the majority of the funding on a project, it's likely not going to score very high when our program seems to be the difference whether you're going to make it or not. That generally won't bode well. And we've actually had some people come in before and say, God, if you don't give us this, we can't proceed forward. Well, if you need us to augment, enhance, or strengthen your ability to have a success, that's one thing. But if you need us to even get off the ground and do anything, whoa, you're likely not going to get support from the state. We'll get slapped hard as a commission, especially as we have failures. And it's not that we don't. We understand not everything is successful, but you want to have something come out of it that's worthwhile and can be leveraged to really assist our state, our economy, and our communities. I should say too, you must be registered in the state of North Dakota with the Secretary of State to do business. The Ag Infrastructure Grant, this is pretty straightforward. If you are doing an animal ag facility or a value-added facility, you could be eligible. And although this has to work through the political subs like the county or the township, you could have some road or bridge upgrades that you could be eligible for. It's a cost share program up to 80%. It caps at 1,250,000. We do allow also for utility improvements, whether it's water, wastewater, maybe a gas line or power, electrical. That is 80% cost share also, but it does cap at 350,000. That's a little bit different and clunky. Again, you can't apply for that directly. It has to go through a supplier, and we've gained enough knowledge and wisdom over the years that we have a pretty good idea of where things lie competitively. So if someone tries padding or pushing something in a direction just to utilize state money and take advantage of it or exploit it, it's probably not going to work well. But we can help people walk through that and understand what it's going to take and who's going to be involved. We did make some changes in the most recent legislative session, and I'll disclose that I have pushed back when some in the legislature have said, well, we need to open this up to cities also. The problem is if cities have projects within their city limits, that generally means that they're under a different taxing structure already. And they can do specials and they can do all kinds of things to pay for projects. This was specifically designed for townships and counties. They don't have a whole lot of money. And if some aren't aware, in North Dakota, you only have 3 classifications of taxable property. You have residential, commercial, and agriculture. And if you put up an animal ag facility out in the county or township, it's considered agriculture. There is no other tax that's associated with that particular business. So you could have a $200 million dairy get built out in the middle of a county. They pay taxes according to the ag productivity value of the land that they are sitting on. So you aren't generating any new taxes, which is why the legislature decided to develop this program to help offset some of those expenses. And there's some other tax revenue from building that facility that the political sub can actually apply for. Those funds will come back into that community, that county, and then they can use those funds to actually do maintenance in future years. All that being said, we did recognize one issue that was brought up, and that was those communities where you had 1,500 people or less residents. They are in a different situation. They don't have a whole lot of infrastructure. I recognize that, and this program can help them develop and grow, and at some point be a bit more self-sustaining and resilient going forward. So that was one of the more recent things that were made and changed. The low carbon fuels incentive program, this was done specifically, probably as the precursor, I'm going to say, to sustainable aviation fuel. But we look at different things within an ethanol facility or any renewable energy facility, probably more bio-based. But you can look at things that create an efficiency or capture carbon, anything that will help overall with their carbon footprint. That's probably the easiest way to put it. And that's available up to $10 million over the lifetime of the program or for that particular entity, but $3 million in a biennium. And I didn't know how well this was going to work to support a lot of our ethanol industry, for example, but it is unbelievable. I mean, within months after we opened the program, we ran out of money. Now there is, it's constantly renewed and refreshed because of the tax dollars that I believe they come out of. It's a tax within the motor vehicle department, so it'll renew, refresh, and grow. It's been depleted over a period of years from some different programs that tapped into it, but now it exclusively supports this program, and we're hoping for good things to come from it. We're already seeing some really good work that's being done, and we look forward to seeing what these projects will look like in the end. With that, I just wanted to let you know that we have Matthew Boder and Daniel Raznicek, who are both within the department. They play different roles. I know Matt does a lot of the APUC work, and Daniel does a lot of the ad work or the ag diversification development. But those are two good contacts if you have questions. So with that, I just got to figure out how to end this presentation. I think that's it.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Commissioner Goring, for that overview of some of the programs that exist within the state. I think we'll have at least Matt sticking around for the breakout room after this if anyone in attendance have questions. You are still sharing your screen, Commissioner.
Is it? Well, let's see here. Let's get out of there. How about now? Still sharing?
Still sharing. I might be able to share it.
Let's see. How do we stop sharing? See, you can't put me.
We were able to, I thought we were able to stop sharing for you.
I've got you. I just closed it off now.
Okay.
Okay. Awesome. All good. Thank you so much, Commissioner Goring. Up next, we'll hear from Ryan Osline from the Fargo-Moorhead EDC and Casey Sanders Berglund from the City of West Fargo to talk about incentives that exist in this area.
Hey, thanks, John. Appreciate it. So, name's Ryan Oss. I'm Chief Business Development Officer with the Greater Fargo-Moorhead Economic Development Corporation. I recognize some of the names and faces on the call today. Thanks to GrandFarm and John for pulling us all together. So a little bit about our organization. We're a regional nonprofit. We're publicly and privately funded to support economic growth and primary sector business growth and expansion in a 2-county region of Cass County, North Dakota, and Clay County, Minnesota. We have long been partners with GrandFarm and its parent organization, Emerging Prairie, kind of recognizing the value that entrepreneurship and growing the entrepreneurial ecosystem needs to be done authentically, and they've done a fantastic job over 10 years now at Emerging Prairie and GrandFarm since around 2019. So extremely valuable to our ecosystem, and we continue to partner pretty closely with them in support of their events and programming and opportunities like this to engage. So we help primary sector businesses in a number of ways. So primary sector, just for a little background, is any company that adds value or knowledge to a good or service and then sells that outside of the trade area. So if you've got customers located nationally or globally, and you're creating technology or a product that's more valuable than it was in its original state, you're a primary sector company. So being primary sector opens up a lot more incentives and resources to you. One of the ways we add value and support companies is connecting them to all of those different programs. So it often starts with kind of an initial conversation to understand, where you're at in your journey, what your kind of key priorities are and your needs and requirements. Maybe that's access to capital, maybe it's financing, maybe it's site selection, maybe it's, workforce and talent, maybe it's research partnerships. And so we kind of, have those kind of initial discussions and then work to understand how we can best help marshal those resources and kind of develop a strategic roadmap and plan to help you get where you need to be. And so a lot of the partners on this call are ones that we pick up the phone and have frequent conversations with. So we understand programs like the ones that Commissioner Goring just presented at Department of Ag. You're going to hear from North Dakota Department of Commerce later. You'll hear from my colleague Casey Sanders in West Fargo in a moment. So we lean on each other a lot. Like Commissioner Goring said, we're kind of all part of one big team. There's only a few degrees of separation between us, and so I think that's another part of our market that is maybe more difficult to quantify, is the speed to market and the speed at which we kind of can help make things happen. And I don't know if there's a lot of places where you're going to get the Commissioner of Agriculture to come on a call and talk to you about some of the programs, but in North Dakota we've got that kind of access, and we're not ashamed to flaunt it. And I did see Gary Nijak and Jeremiah Roth with Ariel Plot on the call too, and they're a company we've been working with pretty closely recently, and looking forward to some announcements that they have in terms of the future kind of growth and trajectory of their company. So with that, I think I probably exceeded my time. I'll turn it over to Casey Sanders Berglund with the City of West Fargo to talk about what's going on there and how they're working with partners like GrandFarm.
Sure, thanks, Ryan. And I won't take too long. I'll just kind of fill in a little bit of gaps here. I'd like to echo a little bit of what Ryan said. Is one of the biggest things I think is, though I represent a city, and maybe no one should call out my specific mayor after I say this, but I think when one of our cities wins, we kind of all win as a region. And as an economic development group, I think we all look out for and understand that the businesses have to select a place that works primarily for them. But in the meantime, if we can help fill in some gaps and work together, we're going to do that. So in West Fargo, I think though smaller, we're slightly closer to GrandFarm. I think just in the last year or two, trying to lean in a little bit more to the fact that we've got people from inside our own region going, hey, we've got some really cool things going on. And as oftentimes we don't look inwards, we're trying to say, hey, we've got some people from outside of our region that are really, really doing some amazing things and looking at our region, and how can we be a good partner. And so we're looking to learn a little bit from you guys as well. But one of those things I think in a gap area, we can often come in. West Fargo has an economic development sales tax. We're currently trying to position so that we can create potentially some startup incentives or some specific gap closing or closing fund incentives here in 2026. So I just thought I'd share that quickly. But if you ever have any questions, Andrew or John can certainly connect you to either Ryan or I. Thanks for joining the call.
Awesome. Thanks, Casey. Thanks, Ryan. Cody, I'll welcome you up to talk about the North Dakota Growth Fund and 50 South Capital.
Sure. Thanks so much, John. Well, first of all, hi to everyone, and specifically a shout out to the founders. It's really hard to build something, and appreciate that you're not only building something especially hard in agriculture. So solving real problems matters to the world and certainly matters to North Dakota. So thanks for finding GrandFarm in the world, or if GrandFarm found you. Grateful for you considering North Dakota as a place to continue to grow. But our work at 50 South is really rooted in the private market aspect of the resource stack that North Dakota offers. We serve as the general partner of the North Dakota Growth Fund, which is a $250 million vehicle that was launched in 2021 when state leadership looked across the resources and looked across our entrepreneurial ecosystem and noticed that, one, we could make a bet on ourselves, and two, we were missing access to private capital for the state's entrepreneurs. And so our work is really centered on creating a double bottom line. One, it's to make money for the state of North Dakota, and two, it's to open up access to private capital for people who are starting, scaling, building, potentially selling their companies in North Dakota. And so most of our capital gets deployed into funds. Those funds then are looking and searching and investing in North Dakota companies. Specifically for funds focused on ag tech, we have backed Generator and brought Generator to North Dakota. Generator is an early stage accelerator that will work with companies that are either pre-seed or pre-revenue and helping them kind of find their product market fit and get to scale. Generator has 3 different programs throughout the year in North Dakota, 2 that are non-equity accelerators, plus an actual investment accelerator, as well as a seed fund. We're also invested in Homegrown Capital, which is a fund that invests in multiple sectors, but one of which is ag tech. And then we're invested in Lewis and Clark Agri-Food, which is a leading later stage venture firm exclusively focused on food and ag. And so agriculture is part of the twin engine that kind of fuels North Dakota alongside energy. And so as we look at how we support the state's growth, ag and ag tech will always be a piece of our portfolio construction. The other part of our work is that we can do direct investments. We typically can do a direct investment with a company that's at a Series B or later and has a material presence in North Dakota. And those checks can be up to $10 million in an equity, and we sit on the cap table just like any other investor would. So overall, I think the key thing to know is that if you're looking to raise private capital as a path to scale, feel free to reach out and we can get you connected to the right funds that would be the right fit for your stage and what you're trying to build in. So thanks again, everyone. And thanks, John, for organizing.
Thank you so much, Cody. Fantastic overview. And for the startups on the call, we will do an investor session in about a month and a half. So we'll have the opportunity to meet more of these folks that she's talking about. Alrighty, and up next, I'm going to welcome up our folks from NDSU. We've got a lot of them, but John and Frank, if you want to come and talk about how startups can engage with you guys.
Sure. So my name is Frank Casey. I am the Associate Director of the North Dakota Agricultural Experiment Station, which is a research branch of NDSU Agriculture. We're a typical land-grant university. We have our missions of teaching, research, and extension. I represent the research mission as part of what we do, and the commissioner focusing on this a lot is that we serve our stakeholders and what our stakeholders' needs are in the state with the 50 or so different crops and the resources that we have with our research. It's actually in our century code, which is the state's constitution, that we must do this. And some of the language is that to conduct and coordinate statewide research that develops and disseminates technology for food, feed, fiber, and fuel. So we have the imperative to do this. It involves the latest technology. We are the number one adopter. Our producers, our farmers, our ranchers are the number one adopter of ag technologies, and it's because we operate right on the verge of everything. So in our research, we must stay abreast and help out with that latest advances in technology. We value, as I was saying, a community-driven approach to our research, connecting with our stakeholders. We value the integrity of what we do. We're a trusted voice. We bring science to our approach with scientific rigor. We have a strong reputation with our producers. So the boots on the ground approach is very pertinent to us. And then the impact that we do. It's not just the research that is published and put on the shelf. It's the research that gets out there, demonstrates the value, but then it also is implemented for our producers. And then we need to adopt all the innovative practices. We are located here, our main campus. We cover all the typical areas of a land-grant universities, from economics to engineering to animal agriculture, microbiological sciences, plant pathology, plant sciences, natural resources. We also have veterinarian services. That's main campus, but we also have 7 research extension centers that are strategically located across those distinct geographies of the state and focus in on what is it that our community needs are in those areas. So there's resources, there's strong capital support from the state with capital projects. So there's a lot of phenomenal building infrastructure that we have on campus, but a lot of that is also available at our branch research center. So a real hub and spoke model. The one thing I do want to bring up is that we are a SkyTier partner. I'm familiar with a lot of people here on the call, and that speaks to this idea that Ryan was talking about, is the degree of separation and how we come together as a community to address this area of agriculture and the needs of agriculture. So we get things done. One thing I would say, and especially what the commissioner was bringing up, is authentic partnership, because we are really about the integrity of our research, and because we are about being authentic about how we serve our stakeholders, is when a partner comes in, that we have the capacity with the research side of things, with the resources, to make that connection and bring that authenticity to the project itself. So there's been some, certain projects that we've made connections with people from outside. Ryan, myself, and Andrew Jason from GrandFarm have gone together on different meetings. One's coming up in San Francisco, where we met with startups. We talked to them about the ecosystem that we have here, the connections, developing authenticity in that collaboration. And then there might be other partnerships or other programs such as APUC that they have then access to because of that partnership. That's what I have for my time today. I'm sure we'll have some breakouts. If there's further questions, I'll be happy to answer those.
Awesome. Thank you, Frank. Highly encourage you to check out NDSC's breakout room. I know we've got a couple great folks on the call to talk to. Last but not least, I'll welcome up Jeremy to talk about Hauser Labs.
Awesome. Thanks so much. I'm Jeremy Hauser. I'm developing Hauser Labs here in Fargo, North Dakota, and we're basically here to fill in all the gaps that you need to commercialize your products here in the state. Our goal really is to make sure that if you're researching something here, you have the capacity to manufacture it here and test it here at GrandFarm. And so we're here to support whatever your needs are as a researcher, whether that's flexible, expandable lab space, specific equipment that you might need, research and manufacturing capacity, like I previously mentioned, and then really to fill in all the gaps, right? Because we know that there are a lot of odds and ends you might not have in this ecosystem, and our goal is to make sure you have all those resources, so there's no hangups and no hesitation to be here in North Dakota and to locate your resources here, to locate your staff here, right? So really, we're currently under construction. I don't know if you can hear the construction noise behind me right now, but our goal is to be open this summer, to have lab space available. And if you're looking for specific resources, we're more than happy to resource specifically to projects that are coming to the region, because we know that if you're coming to North Dakota, you probably have a reason to come here. You care about this place as much as we do. And so our goal is just to be as helpful as possible. So I'll give you back time here, and we can talk in the breakout room if there's anybody who needs specific resources or has questions about how you can get started here. Happy to help.
Awesome. Thank you, Jeremy. Well, I've got the rooms open. You guys are free to go and join them. If you're a speaker, please go to the room with the name associated with you, and we can get some good conversation started, and hopefully those will continue into the spring and summer. If you have any issues, feel free to come off mute and ask any questions.
Meeting is being recorded.
Did you guys leave early?
We had like 16 seconds left.
Okay. I mean, this is good for me. I know who listens to my messages.
I didn't know what would happen if the countdown actually reached 0, so I didn't want to hold system reset.
We took our breakout room to the exact last second,
Okay, so I'm guessing everyone's back then. Awesome. Well, thank you all for joining this call. This is going to be the first of a handful, just to get everyone kind of introduced, have some friendly faces when you actually come out to Fargo, and hopefully build some great partnerships. I do want to apologize to John McAvoy. Did have some time for him to speak. Didn't get the chance there, but if you guys are into microbiology, doing anything related to biologicals, John McAvoy is your guy. That's going to be it for our session today. Keep an eye out for invites to future ones. They're going to be themed around specific topics. We appreciate you all joining, and we'll see you at the next one.
Thanks.
Thanks, everybody. Have a good rest of your day.
Thanks. Bye.
Thanks.
Thanks, everyone.